day of our Skye and Raasay trip. This is going to be our final day. We're on Raasay at the moment, just packing up after been camping the night. It's really beautiful here, absolutely stunning. We're about to catch an early ferry back on to Skye. We're going to have a day out in Skye, head up to Dunvegan and see what we can find today. So come along and we'll see what we can see. We got so lucky with the weather on this trip. You can often hit lucky with the weather early on in the year in Scotland, and add to that the fact that it's not yet super busy, it makes for a great time to visit some of the more touristy spots. We do actually try to avoid any big trips in the peak summer months, as it just gets a bit too much in places, and we're not fans of big crowds. Once we were off the ferry, we cut across Skye to the west side of the island and followed the stunning coastline north to Dunvegan. There's a few little shops in Dunvegan, but I was headed for Kath Water's studio outlet. Kath makes some stunning landscape artworks and I've been collecting her ceramic tiles. And if you keep watching to the end of this video, you'll find out which ones I picked. After Dunvegan, we headed to Glendale and continued on to Neist Point. For those that aren't familiar with Skye, Neist Point is the most westerly point of the island, and it's home to one of the most famous lighthouses in Scotland. Although it might not look it here, Neist Point was one of the busiest spots that we came across on this trip. Additional car parking has been created fairly recently by the looks of things, but I can imagine it gets pretty manic in the summer, especially as the road in gets pretty small and narrow, so if you can visit here out of the summer period, I 100% would recommend. It was actually further to walk to the lighthouse than I imagined, but the views of the cliff line were absolutely stunning. There were loads of seabirds, and I imagine the cliffs are a popular nesting site for them. The lighthouse itself was designed by David Allen Stevenson, and it was first lit on the 1st of November 1909, before becoming fully automated in 1990. Apparently an aerial cable was used to take supplies to the lighthouse and the cottages, which reminds me of the children's storybook, The Lighthouse Keeper's Lunch, that I used to read as a child. In the story, the lighthouse keeper's wife would send her husband his lunch across to him on a pulley between their cottage and the lighthouse. I've always quite liked that idea. It sounds like a great way to get your lunch delivered. Down at the shoreline below the lighthouse is this mass of stone piles that people have created. And honestly, I found them really quite creepy. I have mixed views about the whole thing really. I can see the appeal of creating the stacks, but I have read that this is having an environmental impact by disturbing local habitats for wildlife and causing erosion. Plus, it does rather detract from the natural beauty of the place. After our visit to Neist Point, we headed up to Waternish and called in at Skye Pottery, which is one of the most gorgeous locations for a studio. The owners, Katie and Luke, make absolutely beautiful ceramics, and I could have literally bought everything in their studio if I had the money. But I restrained myself to one item, and you'll see what that was later on. A bit further up the road from the pottery studio is Skye Skins Tannery, the only commercial one left in Scotland. But before looking in the showroom, it was time for a much needed cuppa and cake. Ten out of 10 recommendation for the cakes here. The showroom was such an amazing space, with very knowledgeable staff to help you pick your perfect sheepskin rug. We ended up picking a sheepskin rug each, and I'll show you mine later on. Below the showroom is the tannery, and the staff will give you a free tour around and explain how it all works. I love how sustainability is at the front of everything they do here, and they work with small farmers and local crofters as well. The skins they use are byproducts which would otherwise end up in landfill, which would be a total waste to them, but instead these sheepskins will now be admired and treasured for years. So now we're back, I thought I'd do a nice little roundup of the bits and pieces that I bought on Skye, starting with these lovely ceramic art tiles from Kath Waters. One of them is the Strawberry Moonrise on Skye, and the other is of Plockton. I love how she captures the moody skies of the west coast, and I have plans for using these in our new kitchen when we eventually get to that stage of the build. My second purchase was a lovely little salt pig from Skye, which was in this beautiful blue glaze. This was bought as a present for my mum, and to go alongside it, I also found a lovely stack of salts in the Skylark gift shop. The salt is actually harvested on the island and it comes in a range of different blends, so it's a really nice gift idea. And the last one to show you is my purchase from Skye Skins. Not all of the sheepskins they sell are produced in their tannery, but I wanted to make sure that the one I chose was. So this one is from the Mimosa collection, which is what they call their range of eco-tan sheepskins that they produce in limited batches. I went for this lovely brown one, which has a wonderfully soft and thick fleece. This will eventually go in the bedroom of our barn conversion, and I can't wait to sink my feet into its soft warmth when I get out of bed in the morning. And just before I go, I thought I would share with you the weaving that I made after this trip of Neist Point. I really enjoyed the challenge of creating the distinctive cliffs. I also added a bit of needle felted detailing so I could create the little tiny white shape of the lighthouse, and add some texture into the sea, as well as some rocks in the foreground. So do please let me know what you think of this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed joining me for my Skye and Raasay trip. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment, and hit subscribe for more adventures. If you're interested in my weavings, you can see more of these on my website, the link to which is in the video description. See you soon!